My cousin said, which still just hurts my feelings today. She was like, "You're only reason you're going to grad school is because you can't talk for shit and you can't get a job." Hello, my Stutter loves. I am back again. I'm doing a get ready with me video, as you guys can see. I'm just going to be doing some eyeshadow in celebration of me stepping out and not wearing glasses as much, because I am trying to not use those as a crutch anymore. And so while we sit, I'm going to be using the Colored Rain palette again. I've been practicing, so let's hope this time it gets a little bit better. And I'm going to tell you a little bit of a story. So, you know, they always say that the people close to you can hurt you the most, and it's interesting because I think I've had an experience like that, and I just kind of gonna chat a little bit about it. This story starts with me going to my therapist, because I have one. I love her, she's great. And I ended up telling her, well, she sees that I have a lot of trauma that sort of circles around me having a stutter. And so, you know, she told me to tell her one of my strongest memories of it. And I was like, okay. And so the story that I told her happened about 10 or so years ago, and it was in Atlanta, Georgia. So I went to Atlanta and I spent a summer with my family out there so that I could help take care of my grandmother. It was me, my grandmother, my younger cousin, my grandma's daughter, and then her daughter. So it was 4 generations of women. So it was all of us in one house. I had never spent that amount of time with all of them like that, and so I knew it was going to be interesting, but I was like, I'm going to go spend this with my family. This is going to be great. Yay. So excited. So I was very excited. And so at the time, my older cousin and I were having a really hard time getting along. It was just kind of like too many people in one house. We all were just at odds with each other, not having fun, just, you know, it was a hot mess. So my cousin and I were arguing about something. People argue, right? People argue about stuff all the time. And then I say, well, it doesn't matter because I'm not going to be here anyway. I'm going to grad school. And then my cousin says, only reason you're going to grad school is you can't get no job because you can't say shit. And then she walked off. And as I was telling that story to my therapist, she sort of like jumped back and was like, she knew that that would hurt you, and she knew that that would end the argument, and she knew you couldn't say anything after that. You know, like, and why that hurt so badly at that time is because that was my truth, you know. That was my truth at that time. The truth was I knew school, I've been in school, I've gone to school, I get school, and so it was the safest choice for me to just go back to school. I had no one teaching me what was next or no guidance, and so the only thing I knew was to just stay in my little safe bubble. And I told no one that that's what I was doing, and I took out way too much money in school loans, all because of fear. And she knew it. I don't know how, because I never told her. And she held on to that, and she used it against me at like the worst time possible. And We never talked about that ever again. We never talked about the situation. We never talked about the argument. There was no apology. There was nothing. And because of that, our relationship from my end is strained. I don't even know if she knows how I feel. My trust is gone, you know? I don't trust her anymore. I know some people are like, but that's your family. You should, you know, mend it, talk to them about it, work it out. Okay, so we're back. I have my glasses on, so let's get down to business. What do? You know, like, what do you do if you have a family member that's hit below the belt and now you're at a place where you just don't trust them, and say they're your only family member that you have, and not having them means you now don't have anyone, and like, what are ways to rectify that sort of situation? I have to be honest with you, I have yet to rectify mine. I live on the West Coast, and that cousin lives all the way on the East Coast, and so we don't really cross paths much. But I definitely think that confronting that person, which is what I am going to eventually do, is one way of handling the situation. If you care about them, and if you want that relationship to continue, if you care about that relationship, and overall it serves you as a person, I think you should confront them, whether it be writing a letter, whether it be calling and leaving a message explaining it, whether it be setting up a meeting time and then meeting in a mutual space and just sort of talking about it. I think having bullet points of the actual facts of what happened, or what happened from your perspective, and then explain how their action made you feel. Having them see it from your perspective might help a bit. And I think that something cool that people can do is like make a pact. You know, like, say you have a really tight friendship with someone, and you both have one thing that you guys just don't fight about. I think making a pact, saying, all right, no matter what circumstance we're in, if you're mad or whatever, we will not talk about this. That way, you're setting guidelines, and it's very clear that if that person breaks them, that lets you know that they cannot follow those sort of rules, and also that when you put rules in place, when you put mutual rules in place, and then that person who makes the choice to bypass them, that's someone that maybe is a bit reckless, and not someone that you should invest a lot of time and emotion into, because that just seems like a very draining relationship to have. So those are some of my pointers, and I really hope that they help, because it's not easy to have someone that you really care about, or who you thought cared about you, you know, say something completely left afield to knock you down a peg. And no one deserves that, and no one should be in a relationship that's unhealthy like that, whether it be with your spouse or family or friends, boss, whatever. So self-empowerment is also being able to stand up for yourself and making sure that people treat you well in the way that you want to be treated. Well, I really appreciate you guys watching. I'm gonna keep working on the makeup, and I really Like, I want to stress that people will treat us the way we allow them to. And that is so true, no matter if you stutter or not. So you guys have a wonderful, wonderful day. Stutter beautifully. Like, share, comment, all of the above. Follow me at Jacqueline Joyce on Instagram and Twitter and Facebook. And I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.